Hello and welcome to my tiny tarot practice. I'm Amelia Fruby, and on this show, I share my card by card journey through the tarot. We're currently in the 5th and final season of the show, which is sponsored by Tarot for Creative Spirits, an amazing workbook by Cecily Saylor that you can find an exclusive discount code for in the show notes. Today's card is the Moon. In the Rider-Waite-Smith version of the tarot, the moon card depicts a brilliant golden moon at the top center of the card. We see a face in this moon looking down toward the water, and you can see the glowing light of the moon as there are rays coming out from it and little specks of golden light drifting down toward what appears to be blue mountains in the distance. There are two pillars beneath the moon, one on each far side of the card. And in front of those, we see two dogs, or a dog and a jackal perhaps, howling at the moon. In the forefront of the card, there's a body of water, and a lobster is emerging from that body of water onto a sandy path that leads all the way to the back of the card and the mountains in the distance. Folks who study the tarot often comment on the weird wildness of this card, as is reflective of the weird wildness of communing with the moon and our watery nature. In Tarot for Change, Jessica Dorr writes, people who seek counsel through tarot tend to fear the moon because it appears to be the opposite of what they think they need: clarity, guidance, and answers. And this note of hers really resonates with me because I think that often when I turn to the tarot, I'm pulling a card for an answer. I want a solution. I want guidance. I want to know what the next step should be. And the moon card really takes us back to our inner wilds. It invites us to embrace confusion, to howl at the light in the sky, and to allow the magic to unfold from there. The moon is the light at night, which makes it a bit of an inherent contradiction. If night is the time of darkness, the moon is here to light that way. The moon is here to provide a light amidst that dark way. And so I think that it becomes this sort of shadowy vision, this sort of invitation into the things that don't quite make sense, that we can't quite grasp, or that we can't quite see. I think this also invokes our interpretation of the High Priestess. And there's a visual connection between the moon and the High Priestess, at least in this version of the deck, because the moon card features those two pillars on each side of the card, as did the High Priestess. But in the High Priestess, we had that veil between them. We couldn't see beyond the veil between the pillars. And here in the moon card, there is no veil. We are purely in that realm of the unconscious, lit by the shadowy light of the moon. And so when I pull this card, I often think of Adrienne Maree Brown's invocation to become weirder, wilder, and more interdependent. Because that's the thing about the moon. It is weird, it is wild, but it also connects us to the water of life. Quite literally, in the way that the moon impacts the tides and even impacts the water within our own bodies. The moon is this interconnective force acting on us at all times. Even if we forget during the day, the moon is still there, right? We can't see the moon during the day, but it's still in the sky. It's still present with us. Just like the water in our body is always present with us, even if we're seeing ourselves to be this concrete being, we're made of water. We're made of the drops of the moon. So again, weirder, wilder, and more interdependent. How can the moon invite us to resist and release the answers, and instead to bask in the darkness of obscurity? Thank you so much for listening to this episode of my tiny tarot practice. If you enjoyed this episode, I think that you'll love Tarot for Creative Spirits by Cecily Saylor. You can learn more about the book and get an exclusive discount code in the show notes. As I leave you today, I would love to invite you to look up into the sky and locate the moon, and maybe if you're brave, give her a little howl.